Hello, my name is Mary Coupland, and welcome to The Road Ahead. Through a series of guests, we are going to help you navigate your own road ahead as you age. We will help you and your parents prepare for your journey. Let's face it, nobody wants to find themselves in a crisis mode simply because they didn't have access to information well in advance. As the publisher of Compass and Clock, we are going to help you achieve your best future. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to our guest, Tarah Threde. Tarah works for the Alzheimer's Association of Western Washington, and she joined the team back in the beginning of 2019. She was introduced to the organization all the way back in 2012 as she would participate as a volunteer for the planning committee for the great walk that takes place out here right in Bremerton. It's usually the very beginning of September. And prior to joining the organization, though, she worked in the senior housing industry and had exposure to families with dementia problems. So she has a passion to help others with memory care and advancing the causes of the Alzheimer's Association. So we're lucky to have her here with us today, and the Alzheimer's Association and all of you folks struggling with this disease are blessed that she's part of the team now. Welcome to the show today, Tarah.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you for everything you've done with the Alzheimer's Association over the years. I know that's how we met, so
it is
I appreciate it.
Mom.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But it's not about me today, so why don't we give the viewers an overview about the Alzheimer's Association?
So the Alzheimer's Association is a national organization, nonprofit organization, that with the mission is focused on advancing research, supporting the families that are currently facing the disease, and also advancing advocacy at the state and federal levels. For the Washington State chapter, which covers all of Washington State and also northern Idaho, our goal is to make sure that here in our local communities we have the resources that we need, and we do that through different support opportunities with support groups, educations, things like that. So we are very much in the community, and we also obviously have the Walk to End Alzheimer's here in Bremerton. So
I was fortunate enough to go to Olympia last February for Advocacy Day.
yes.
And we made a difference.
Yeah.
We did. So why don't we talk just a little bit about the disease itself?
Okay.
Let's educate our viewers.
I think one of the big things that we try to make sure people understand is Alzheimer's is just one form of dementia. It is the most prevalent, but the reality of it is there are over 200 different forms of dementia that can cause some of those symptoms. Alzheimer's itself is actually a progressive and fatal disease. It's the third leading cause of death in Washington State, and it's the only one right now that has no prevention, no cure, and no treatment. So when you look at, a lot of the other disease processes, they have treatments, and Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia often don't have any way to slow it down. So in Washington, there's over 110,000 people that are facing Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. And for every one person with the disease, there's usually about 3 unpaid caregivers, friends, neighbors, children that are supporting that person and trying to be as independent as possible.
It takes a village.
It does.
My dad was my mom's caregiver, and after a certain point, you do need to ask for some help.
For sure.
So one of the ways in which to raise awareness of the Alzheimer's Association and to fund the research so that we can find a cause of it and a cure is through the walk. So why don't we tell the folks about the walk, because I've been fortunate enough to take part in it in the last 2 years in Bremerton, and I actually was at the one in Port Angeles in October too.
Yeah, so the Walk to End Alzheimer's is the Alzheimer's Association largest fundraising event. It's one of our signature events, along with the longest day that you mentioned. The walk, though, in Washington chapter, we have over 16. I couldn't tell you the number over the country. Nationally, it's a huge number of opportunities for folks to come out and not be alone in this process and actually fight this disease.
Take place nationwide,
in different communities. Yep.
Right, but usually like from May till October or something? Is it
It's usually August through October, mid-August through mid-October, depending on the area. Here in Bremerton, we have it usually at the beginning of September, depending on when Labor Day falls. But this year, actually, our goal was $75,000 for the Kitsap Peninsula Walk to End Alzheimer's, and we are really darn close to 80,000. So we met our goal and surpassed it, and continue to fundraise through the end of the year. So anybody who's interested in donating or finding out more can do so by looking up the Walk to End Alzheimer's.
Right, the donations don't end on the day of the walk.
Correct, yes.
And you were giving more information about it, and I kind of cut you off. I apologize for that. But the day of the walk itself, you were saying folks get together and they're in an environment where they realize, hey, I'm not in this alone. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that with the flowers.
So for me, one of the reasons that I just became so passionate about the walk and also the association in general was because when I participated in that first walk, having walked this path with families, I saw a community of people that wanted to support those folks that were facing these diagnoses. And so, you know, at the walk, we have flowers that represent the folks that are participating. Yellow flowers mean that you're a caregiver. Orange means you support the cause. Blue means someone who has a dementia diagnosis. And then purple means someone who has lost someone to Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. So when you look out at that group of people holding up their flowers and they're holding the same one as you or identify with you, it's a very, very powerful moment, and one that truly led me on this path and this passion for sure.
There's a white flower too.
There is. So they brought the white flower out a couple years ago, and it's emotional to even speak about because it's such a powerful moment to think about. And you know, we're all represented by these flowers, and that white flower gets held by one person, and that one person is meant to represent the survivor that we hope we will find very soon with the research and the stuff that we do to fight this disease. So.
And then everybody walks together, and yeah, it's an amazing event. And for those of you out there that have not partaken in it, I would highly suggest that you just, you know, check into it. And
for sure,
you know, unfortunately, you seem like you talk to somebody and there's 3 people standing there, and at least one person knows somebody with dementia.
It's very true.
So why don't we talk a little bit about becoming involved in the Alzheimer's Association? How can others become involved?
Yep, so you can definitely check out our website and look for some volunteer opportunities. We have, obviously, advocacy is a huge volunteer effort, as well as the events that we put on. So there's lots of different ways that folks can find their niche in volunteering. And one that obviously I started in is the committee to actually plan the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And those committees are in every community that hosts a walk. So there are opportunities throughout the state. And then if you just don't know what you want to do, we have a great volunteer manager that will help try to navigate you on finding something if you're passionate about helping this cause. So,
what's the other event, the longest day?
The longest day is actually a do-it-yourself event. So essentially it's finding your passion and what you love to do and turning it into a fundraiser. So the association gives you tools to make that happen through Facebook fundraisers, those types of things. The opportunity to reach out to your community, your network, and say, this is a really important cause to me, and I might be knitting all day to raise funds, or I might be doing a long bike ride or running a marathon. You know, there's lots of different ways that people fundraise through the longest day. And it's a year-round event, kind of centered around the light. The day with the most light is the day that we fight, and it's around the summer solstice.
So the different events that we've talked about, the walk, it shows how there's unity and people come together and support each other. We should probably share with our viewers the different support groups that are out there, like there's memory cafes and information, of course, on the website for other support things, but you want to give a little info on that?
So in Kitsap County, and we have support groups. I was just looking at that list: Polsbo, Silverdale, Bremerton, Port Orchard. Some of those are for caregivers. Some are for folks that have early stage memory loss. There's early stage memory loss opportunities to build that community with memory cafes, one of which is in Silverdale, and then there's also a one at Bainbridge Art Museum that's basically a guided support for people with the diagnosis and their care partners to support just being out and about in the community. So that's one way that we support the community, but also through education is another thing. So there's different education opportunities around.
I can't believe our time is almost up, so I'm sure there are some words of wisdom, some parting words you want to share with our viewers to let them know that they're not alone with the disease, that, you know, we can champion things together. Anything you want to share with them?
Yeah,
How to communicate, anything?
I would say, you know, if you're just at a loss of where to turn, I highly suggest looking at the alzwa.org website and just starting to dive in and finding the local resources. There is a 24/7 hotline number, 1-800-272-3900, and that's a 24/7, anything you can think of that you have a question about. There's someone that's going to pick up that line, whether you're in crisis or just want more information. And the number one thing I tell everyone that I've ever worked with is, please, you're not alone. And if you have any questions, it can be scary and feel very isolating and lonely. Please reach out to your networks, to your community, to your doctor, and just ask some of these questions. You know, don't hold it in. There's more resources than people realize, and there's way more people in this world facing these diagnoses than people understand. So you're not alone, and please reach out for support. And the Alzheimer's Association is happy to be there for you. So,
thank you, Tarah. Thank you, viewers, for a few moments of your time today. This is kind of a tough subject, especially for me and for those of you watching. So remember, you're not alone, and we're here to help. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.